Live. I didn't
Ni
even hit the
hao.
button.
John's back.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, man, what a trip.
Where'd you go?
To China, yeah.
Oh yeah.
To the great middle land, yeah, the middle country. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I thought I was going to maybe be able to join, but I had way worse internet connection than I expected in China. I tried to prepare ahead of time with the VPN and stuff, but it just was not. The VPN slows you down so much, plus you've already got a slow connection. And I think they throttle VPN connections as
Oh,
well
okay.
to make them even worse, and so you reconsider using them. But but yeah, it was a pretty crazy trip. A lot of different, a lot of way different than I expected. China was like in some ways more technologically advanced, a lot more entrepreneurship than I had ever imagined. Um, in some ways, like a lot less sophisticated. Like I guess what I learned from China was that apparent there, everything is, or not everything, but a lot of things are surface level deep. So, something might appear to be one thing, but it's really another thing. So,
right.
like a lot of the hotels and stuff where that you'd go into the room and you'd be like, oh man, this is a nice room. And then like after being there for a day, you'd realize this has a very nice facade. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty good experience. Went to Beijing, then Xi'an, then Guilin, and then we took a cruise down to this smaller city called um, Yingzhou, and then to Shanghai, and ended the trip there at Shanghai Disney. So
Were you with a group or was it just you and your family?
it was me and my family, my wife, my daughter, and then her parents actually came with us. So,
Okay.
but we had a private tour, like a private translator and a private driver with us for everywhere we went. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
And the
And
tour
and
was that through the company that was sponsoring the trip, or was that just like somebody you set up?
no, it was just a company I set up. I found this company that did China tours. And it was a good thing too because originally I was planning on just booking my own hotel in Beijing, visiting some of the sites, and then probably taking a train to Xi'an to see the Terracotta Army, and then going to Shanghai at the end to go to Disney and stuff. But uh, I didn't realize that language barrier would be so huge in China. What ended up happening was that when I priced out the hotels and stuff, and I didn't know where to stay, anything about the cities, but when I priced it out, it turned out that a full tour where they took you to the places and booked the hotels for you and all that was about the same price as booking the hotels myself. So I was like, for having a translator, for having a driver, for having admission into all of these places, that's well worth the effort or well worth the
Oh,
money.
nice.
So
So that included like the sightseeing fees and
yeah,
everything. Okay.
yeah. And China is definitely a place where it makes sense to do that because the thing is like the cost of living there is so cheap, like the workforce, right? So I mean, to have a translator and a driver is extremely cheap, right? For professional, uh, well qualified people, food and that type of stuff is extremely cheap there. Even hotel housing is cheap if you know where to look, right? If you're searching on a website trying to book hotels from China, from the U.S., you're probably going to get higher rates. But so definitely, I would recommend if you go to China, definitely to book a tour. Yeah, and then you're seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, we saw tons of stuff. Like our days were just packed. I was there for like, was it like 17 days, and every single day we were just going to multiple sites and being driven around. And plus, you can't drive in China. Like that you're not renting a car. It's just not going to happen. It's crazy driving, like it's insane. There's
You can
mopeds
rent a car,
everywhere.
but you won't make it out of the parking lot.
Yeah, I doubt anyone would even rent a car to you because they know that it's not coming back and you're not coming back. And then even so, like, how would you even go into the rental car dealership I mean, there's a huge language barrier. Like, that's the thing is, like, after traveling Europe, you go to big cities in Europe, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, all those places, everyone speaks English. Like, or you're gonna find someone at a restaurant that speaks English, right? Most of the time, you're gonna even if you go off the beaten path, there's probably gonna be someone who speaks some level of English. But most places in China, no one speaks English, like not even at all. you know. So that was something I didn't expect after traveling. And the other thing is, like, if you go to France or something and you don't speak French, you can look at the sign and you can read the sign and you might not understand what it says, but you can maybe make it out, or maybe you can remember the word or something like that.
Oh, right.
But if you don't speak Chinese and you don't read Chinese, not only can you not speak it and understand it, you don't recognize the street sign. Like, you're not gonna,
Yeah.
let me just write that. You can't even write down the character. You have to photograph it with your phone, right? And then if you want to tell, like, a taxi driver or an Uber driver where you're going, well, good luck, because you better be able to input Chinese characters into your phone, right? which you can do if you know them, right? If you know how to do it, you have to use this pinyin system to do it. But it's definitely a lot more complex. You definitely want to have a guide. So it was good that I did that, but yeah, it's pretty amazing just seeing all the seeing the Great Wall and the Forbidden City and all the sites, and then going out to kind of the more rural area where there's rice paddies and just this awesome mountain scenery and stuff. So, but definitely, I would say though, after visiting China, that I've been I've been saying this. People haven't been liking this, but I think in 10 years, China will be the major world power in the world. I think it'll surpass U.S. like from not just economics, but technology, not just GDP, but in pretty much all areas. And it's just because of how rapidly they're advancing. They're learning from our mistakes. They're learning from their mistakes. They have multiple cities that have populations of over 15 million people, right? Multiple, like a lot of cities that when Beijing is like 22 million people. Shanghai has about the same. Even Xi'an, where I went, was like 13 million people. So they're building, like, I don't know how many skyscrapers they've built, but it's like Shanghai has 5,000 skyscrapers, over 5,000. It's twice the amount of that New York City has. So they're just getting like ridiculous amounts of experience. Plus their technology. The thing is, with the firewall, with the Great Firewall, they've basically replicated all of the technology that we have in the West, and have built, in some cases, better versions of it that work with Chinese. So it's pretty amazing what they've been able to accomplish. Their tech field, going to various companies over there and talking, they have a huge startup scene, huge startup mentality. Most of their economics is based on entrepreneurship, where ours is not. Like, they're making a huge shift. So yeah, so it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, you can look at that and you could say, oh no, the U.S. isn't going to be the greatest country in the world anymore. Oh no. Or you can look at it and say, well, this looks like this is probably inevitable, but there's a lot of opportunity here because there's a high barrier to entry, and you've got how many billion people speaking one language. If you can get past that barrier, you've got a huge market. So I'm definitely going to start looking into that market. But.
Nice. Yeah, we got to get. So we'll have to talk about your idea about translating all of Simple Programmer.
Yeah.
We're seriously thinking about cloning Simple Programmer.
Simpleprogrammer.cn, isn't that
exactly
Chinese?
Yeah. Yeah, I started actually learning Chinese. I think I may actually continue doing that because I think there's a lot of value in knowing Chinese. My book did really well. So the book, at least as of yesterday, was the number one computer and internet book in China. It had reached the number one in uh, in several categories, but that's the largest category.
Was that on Amazon?
It was on. They have their main site is jd.cn.
Okay.
It's like forget what it's based off of, but it also got really high. It's like number one in several categories on Amazon.cn as well. So I guess an original print run was 7,000 copies, and they've sold through that already. So in the first few days that they had released it, so they're printing
Oh,
more
so they
copies.
just released it over there.
Oh yeah, it just got
Oh,
released.
okay.
So
Oh,
yeah.
so I didn't make the connection that your visit was coinciding with the release over there.
Yeah, that was sort of the purpose,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah,
publisher
I
wanted
kind of
me
missed
to
the whole
promote
point.
the book.
In other words.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was kind of doing a book tour over there. I signed a
Yeah.
bunch of copies of the book, met the
That
translator.
I got. I just didn't realize that it was like the grand opening.
Okay, yeah. So that's what it was about. But definitely, it was crazy, like trying to speak in front of people that don't understand. You're, it was just, gosh, talk about like a gut check, like a scary experience. I don't, like talking in front of a big crowd. That's something that I don't have any problem with now. But when they don't speak English, that was tough, especially after the first day doing it at this conference. 2,000 people do a keynote, and I'm just fumbling because it's like I say it and the translator says it, and I'm getting no reaction from people. Plus, there's this cultural gap because I'm doing the motivational type of speech that they have no idea. They've never seen this before.
Right.
And then I had to do it the next day at some companies. That went smoother, but that was it was a good growing experience. I think talking in front of English speakers will be so much easier now.
You should have timed your visit to the Terracotta Army first, practiced on them, and that
Yes.
would have prepared you. 'Cause
Exactly, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. Just like I can't even, I'm still processing all the data, but such a worldview shift. Like everything I thought about China I was totally wrong, right? As I went to these cities, and just like even what I thought were smaller cities were ridiculously huge. So I did get fat.
Oh no!
Yeah, I got kind of fat over there. I definitely gained weight, and like I guess I gained like 10, somewhere around 10, maybe 15 pounds in like the 2 weeks or so that I was there.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, I couldn't really lift, and running was pretty much not really possible either, especially with the tour and stuff. And then so I started. I also didn't want to miss out. They had really good food, so I was like, well, I'm not really going to go to China and eat Chinese food, very often. So I give myself a kind of a free ticket on meals. So I pigged
Yeah,
out.
Panda Express every day, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the worst American-centric thing I could say.
You know what's really popular there? You know who's the most famous man in China, who I saw more than anyone else, whose picture I saw more than anyone else in China?
Ronald McDonald?
No, it was Colonel Sanders. Colonel
Colonel
Sanders.
Sanders?
Yep. KFC is extremely popular in China. It's the only market where KFC beats McDonald's.
Isn't it? I think it's
That's
actually. I seem to remember reading in Time magazine a long time ago that it was actually almost like a destination restaurant there. Like people would actually travel to go to it. Almost like it was like this five-star restaurant.
It definitely is a little bit more upscale there. I think that might have been the case, but there's KFCs everywhere in China now.
Okay.
So it's like
That was probably 15 years ago that I was reading that. So.
and it's like an ice cream place. It's like, where should we get ice cream? Well, let's go to KFC. They actually have like an ice cream window at KFC where you can get ice cream.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
weird.
some green tea flavored ice cream, which is pretty good. But yeah, it's interesting. Their menu is obviously different there too, right? But as well as McDonald's menu. But yeah, the food was really really good. There's some of my favorites were, well, Chinese food in general. Everyone was like, okay, you're gonna lose weight because you're not gonna like the food. It's gonna be weird. It's not gonna be like Chinese food in the U.S. But it's pretty much like Chinese food in the U.S. Like there's differences, right? I mean, it's obviously different vegetables and slightly different seasoning, but for the most part, it's pretty dang similar. I mean, there's like, I ate multiple places where they had kung pao chicken, and like, so that was not that different. I didn't think so, at least. Like, and it was really good. And then some of my favorites were like stuffed buns or steamed buns. That were like, filled with meat or filled with different things. And then they had like these cakes that were filled with that were made out of like this dough that was made with pork lard. So it's like this real crumbly dough, and they're filled with different fillings.
This is the second time in 2 days now that John has done this to me. It's noon, right? And I haven't eaten, and I'm hungry, and I can't eat for 5.5 hours. And yesterday we talked, and he talked for like 20 minutes. He went on and on and on about the food.
It was good.
He had to have pork lard, right?
Yeah.
I didn't eat yesterday at all, so I'm just skipping my fasting days, skipping meal completely. But no, it was real good, and I became a master of chopsticks. So because they basically didn't have it. The first day we went to a restaurant, and when we got there, and I was thinking, okay, well, someone at this restaurant is going to speak English. Nope, not one person, not one word, nothing but chopsticks. And it's like, okay, well, you're just going to have to learn to adapt and just order some random food and eat it. So, yeah, there really wasn't that. There was just one street, it's like Wei Feng Yu Street or something, I think, in Beijing, where they had weird stuff. They had like fried scorpions, and but I think it's mostly just like a tourist type of thing. The other interesting thing about China is most of these cities that we visited were heavy tourism cities. Like their entire industry was tourism. It was just like all geared towards tourism, but it's all internal tourism, believe it or not. So
interesting.
You walk around China, and like if you don't see a white person, a non-Chinese person, that's the norm. Like there are very few, like I could probably count on my fingers the number of non-Chinese people I saw the whole time I was in China. Maybe my fingers and toes, maybe like 20 or so groups of people, and that's it. Like it's very rare to see someone who's not Chinese. People are like, shocked when they see you. They want to take pictures with you. They're like So I took a lot of pictures with random Chinese people. I'm in a lot of Chinese photo albums. So
there you go.
Was it like, what was your perception of safety?
Oh, it was pretty much perfectly safe. Like I don't think there was. I never felt like there was any area that was not safe. Even the shadiest. Well, and here's the interesting thing is like. So it's really, I'm guessing this is somewhat a cultural thing, but somewhat because it's really hot and humid there. But you go out at like 10 o'clock at night, and everyone's out. That's like no one's out like earlier during the day, but at 10 o'clock at night, everyone is out pushing strollers, skateboarding, roller skating, all kinds of people are running. Like it's crazy. Like everyone's outside at night. So yeah, I didn't see there was any kind of. I think it's pretty dang safe there. I think also, I mean, criminal penalties are pretty dang harsh in China. So.
Yep.
But that's the other thing is like, I mean, I think most people don't realize. Like China is not communist anymore. It's not even close to communist anymore. It's basically a one-party socialist system that has a free market economy, right? So what I mean by that is like there's private ownership and entrepreneurship, right? It's like that's the primary thing that's driving. The state still has dictatorial jurisdiction over. It's a one party, right? If the government says something, that's what it is. There's no arguing against it, and it's what it is. But aside from that, the citizens enjoy pretty large array of freedom. So in some ways, they have more freedom as entrepreneurs than we do here. So, for example, they can hire and fire people at will and pay them what they want to some degree, right?
Boy, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Right. So there's a lot less restrictions there, but it's real interesting. The Chinese government also encourages everyone to become entrepreneurs. They're really focused on that. So it's way different than I thought in that regard, because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, when I first got there, I was like, I don't understand how all these people living in a communist country could be entrepreneurs. It doesn't make sense to me. I didn't know about the history, the economic history of China, where was it 1987 they opened up or maybe it was 76, somewhere around there. They basically changed the system over to be, to open up the economy and to allow private ownership and all that. So,
yep.
So yeah, way
That's
different.
That's when they started to really, take off.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few years. I don't think that the single party system will survive. I mean, it's becoming more westernized, and it's weird too. It's it depends on what city you visit in China. If I just went to Shanghai is a very western city. If you just went to Shanghai, you would get a totally different impression of China than if you visited Beijing and visit some of the other cities, because Shanghai has got shopping malls and high-tech buildings, and it's a very metropolitan city, right? But Beijing is still very much a mix. It's got skyscrapers in a high-tech area, but it's also very much old China. There's a lot of people on the street and poor people and just hovels that people are living in. It's a much dirtier and different city than Shanghai, even though the population is fairly similar. So,
Huh.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what else there was. I mean, obviously I saw a lot of stuff, but yeah, from cultural perspective, very, very interesting to. One thing that's interesting with the meals, I think, that is there's this whole every meal in China, if you go to dinner with someone, you might have be familiar with this already, the kind of the Chinese style of eating, which you order a bunch of dishes for the table and everyone shares the dishes, right? But it's kind of weird because you've got this little plate in front of you, right? And you've got a bowl, and as Americans, we think, okay, well, the little plate, I grab some food out of the dishes and put it onto my plate, right? And that's what most Americans do when they get there. But that's your bone plate. That's where you spit out the stuff that you can't chew, and there's lots of stuff in China that you use the bone plate for. The little bowl is you could put some rice in there and put some stuff in there, but in general, people eat communally out of the plates in the center with their chopsticks.
Interesting.
So they either do that, or they'll have serving chopsticks and you can put some in your bowl. But in general, people are just picking out of the food that's there. So it was very weird and awkward, and you don't know what you're supposed to do. And am I going to put my dirty chopsticks into the main food? Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. So. And so then we're going out, you're dining with these Chinese, and you're using your bone plate to put food on, and then some of them start doing it because they don't want to be impolite. There's layers of deep-seated culture, right? There's an order to eating. There's all these kind of things, you get, the guest sits in a certain spot and has to be served first, but he doesn't eat until the host eats, and there's all these etiquette and stuff. So who knows what kind of. But
That's interesting. I've heard that about Japanese culture. I didn't realize that was the case in Chinese culture too. I guess it makes sense.
yeah, I mean, most
So,
of everything kind of comes from Chinese culture, right? Like all the, in fact, Japanese and Chinese writing systems, they still use Chinese characters from. And then the language is real. That's the other thing that's really interesting. Like I didn't realize that Mandarin Chinese is a tonal language. So, so there's a difference. So, for example, there's four ways to say ma. So there's like ma, 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 ma. And I'm not probably doing it like right, but there's essentially like there's a flat tone, there's a slightly escalated, there's a up and down, and then there's like a a short tone, and all those words mean different things. One means horse, one is a question. They're all ma, but they mean different things. So it's really difficult to say some of, and they're like how is it's spelled Haochi, like in the pinyin, but it's like how chu. There's like a sound. I can't even get it right. It's not chi. It's not ch. It's chu. Chu. How chu. And that means delicious. Like so, there's like all these. It was interesting trying to speak Chinese. At one point I was like telling the translator, I said, well, was it? I said, Maro Bonza, and I was trying to say like I want to, or I don't remember, but I basically tried to say I want to eat some stuffed meat, beef stuffed buns, and I said Maro, which is horse meat.
Oh no.
So he's like, you want horse meat stuffed buns?
You could probably get that.
Yeah, probably, but
there you go.
yeah. So I'm trying to think what else, but yeah, the food was really, really quite good. Lots of noodles, of course, and
So are you kind of back in the saddle again, or are you taking some time to kind of get back in your routine, or what?
oh yeah, I'm back in the. I ran a very painful 10 miles yesterday after not running for like 3 weeks, and then I didn't. 3 weeks or so to get back, maybe a month. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But when you go to China, once in a lifetime opportunity probably. So
Yep.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It was crazy. Definitely not a luxurious vacation, but accommodations
What
are not.
like what did it cost? Well, I guess they paid for it, right? Or
Well,
what
they
what,
paid.
what does that kind of trip cost?
They paid my airline tickets,
Okay.
which were, or for me, and then a couple of nights hotel. So I think they paid me like 1,500 US, and my tickets were around like 1,000 or so US.
Okay.
So you've got the flight, which is from the US to China is probably around $1,000 for just regular seats. But maybe you could find deals. You could probably find deals depending on the time of year. Maybe you can get as cheap as 600. And then for the tour, we had like 15 or 16 days worth set up with travel to multiple cities from Beijing to Xi'an to Guilin and in Shanghai. Like 2 domestic flights in one train. And then all the hotel stays and the translator and everything and the tickets for all of the events that we went to, museums, parks, all that stuff. It was like
$150.
it was like it was like $1,700 a person.
Okay. Oh wow, that's
For the whole
so
thing?
like $100 a day, including travel and lodging,
Yeah.
but not including food, which was
Well,
probably
including a
another
lot of
20.
food, including a lot
Oh
of the food.
wow.
There were
Okay.
dinners included, and then all the hotels had breakfast. every morning.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Buffet breakfast. So it was actually like very. I
Wow.
mean, you still got to tip the tour guides and driver, but
Hmm.
not much, right? Like maybe like $15 or $30 a day.
Wow.
And then the food in China, I mean, you don't even have to worry about. I mean, the food in China it's ridiculously cheap, like ridiculously cheap. And it depends. Like in the tourist area, it's still cheap, right?
Uh-huh.
But we went to this one restaurant with one of the guides, and he's like, and I was like, well, take us to like a place that you like to eat, like a good Chinese, some authentic food. And so he took us to this one restaurant, and it was still kind of in a tourist area, but he's like, tourists don't go here really, Chinese go here. And so there was 6 of us at dinner, and we ordered just a ton of food. There was leftover food, right? Just a ton of food, and including sodas. And the entire bill was 200 yuan, which is about $30 US. So, and they don't tip there.
Wow.
So
Okay. Nice.
it was like $30 to feed 6 people, and there was leftovers, and this was like good food, like a ridiculous amount of food.
Wow.
So it's cheap for sure. Like you could get, like, I'd go into like a pastry place that had those stuffed cakes, and you'd get like a bag of cakes, like 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 2 pounds worth of cakes or so, and you're like, oh man, this is going to cost a bundle, and they're like 50 yuan, which is like $7.50. And they're laughing because they've just ripped you off, right? And you're like we went to this one opera house where they had this show, and they had this whole thing, like they're totally like, oh, do you want some beer? Do you want do you want some popcorn? And you know how they rip you off in the U.S. like when you buy popcorn or whatever at one of these things. So they're like, do you want some ice cream? And so I was like, okay, well, I'll buy ice cream for everyone. 5 ice creams, and it was like 50 yuan for 5 ice creams, and so that was like $7.50. So I'm thinking, I was like, they're laughing because they're like, oh, we just totally
Yeah.
worked them, and I'm laughing because I'm like $7.50 for 5 ice creams.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was
Nice.
probably worth, like, we probably paid 4 times or 5 times what it's actually worth, like in
Yeah.
China, but it was still like
There's
half the
a-
price in the U.S.
There's a great lesson in perceived value.
Oh yeah, yeah. After being in China for 2.5 weeks, you start to get really cheap, right? Like, because when it came here, it was like sticker shock. I was like, what? You want that much for a soda? Are you kidding me? A soda's worth about 30 cents.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was interesting, and the labor is just extremely cheap. Like, you forget how much the average salary in one of the fairly big cities in China is like 3,500 yuan per month. So that works out to like $600 a month US. So, and that's like a decent salary in the city. So yeah, so like in the rural areas, I mean, people are making like $100 or $200 a month. So it's definitely, and then, but what's shocking is the cost of living there. So in Beijing, to get like a condo, an 1,800 square foot condo in somewhere near the downtown area, it's like $2 million US.
Whoa.
And Shanghai is even more expensive. There's like, it's like, somewhere around $3 to $4 million US.
Wow.
And that's not even the most expensive city in China. I forgot what the city is. It's like it's down south near Hong Kong, and that's the most expensive city, which is significantly more. So the real estate in China is extremely expensive,
Huh.
at least in the big cities. So.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, the wheels did not fall off of Simple Programmer while John was gone. Nothing
Yeah,
burst into flames.
I was going to say, we know what John was doing for the last few weeks. Josh, how have your last 2 weeks been? Because it's been 2 weeks since we talked, right?
Yeah. It's been actually pretty quiet without John around to wreak havoc. Yeah, no, I just so I've been doing a couple things. I've been, well, since I dropped my coaching, and I dropped my I dropped well, Perry told me he didn't need me to write emails anymore for him. So my life has gotten a lot simpler, and I've been a lot more focused. And so I've been on a binge where I'm like purging as much as I can right now, and I'm like mass unsubscribing from emails. I'm like figuring out how can I get reports and stuff on a scheduled basis, so I'm not being distracted. Like I set up a daily report for Google Analytics that emails me everything I need to know every day, so I don't feel like I have to be checking stats all the time. So between all that stuff and then John being gone, the last couple weeks were actually really quiet, and I was able to focus down on some stuff, and it's been pretty good. So I'm working on I'm working on getting the how to market yourself email course wrapped up here. I've got that about 80% drafted, and then I have to go through and do the rewrite on it to get it polished. I decided one thing I realized this week, I got a really good email from the guy who does Copy Hour, Derek Johansson, and he was talking about how he launched Copy Hour, and he literally launched it with like just a 600-word sales letter and an email to his list.
Huh.
And he didn't even have the product created. He basically had the idea, and he just charged people like $20 for the first version, and he wrote it as he went. But he's been talking this week about like putting yourself in a position where you are forced to take action more.
Yeah.
Like he's been using the tiger analogy, John.
Oh,
tiger
really?
chasing you. Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm thinking about how I can put myself into that position more. So one thing I'm going to do is, hopefully today, but probably Monday, I'm going to put up the email capture form for the How to Market Yourself course, which I haven't finished yet. Well, guess what? I'm going to have to finish it. So it'll be, I'll basically put that up. I'll finish the welcome email, put up the capture form, and build out the drip workflow for it, and then I'll be collecting people in there, so I'll have to it'll just force me to get the emails written faster. So yeah. So the other thing I decided this week was, based on the same email. So Derek quoted Tim Ferriss in there. I'm so disappointed that Derek's not here, because I can talk about Tim Ferriss this week. But so Tim apparently has this question, but I haven't heard him say this before. But he asks, what would this look like if it was easy?
Oh,
and so and that's what led Derek to launch Copy Hour the way that he did. And so, because like normally, as a copywriter, he's like, well, I got to write this 5,000-word sales page, and I've got to build the product, and so he's like, no. So he just launched it with basically nothing over a weekend. So I was thinking about my product that I'm going to be creating, the email course product that I'm working on, and I spent an hour thinking, like, what would this look like if it was easy?
Yeah.
And so far, the easiest thing that I've done has been webinars. So I realized I was really intimidated by the idea of having a talking head video where I have to like record these short videos, and I feel like I need to be more precise in my speech and have to rehearse them and stuff, and the production quality has to be higher. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna get this thing. I'm gonna just get this thing launched. So I decided I'd already cut my course back into 3 modules that I was planning, and I was going to make each one like 30 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do 3 webinars, and I'm going to sell them separately. So that way, if I decide I don't want to do the second one, I don't have to. So the first one is I wrote an email announcing it to my list this week, and that's going to go out sometime next week. And I'm just going to pitch the webinar every day. It's scheduled for September 1st, and I'm going to pitch it every day until then, basically. All my emails will be like the close of the email. So that gives me 2 whole weeks to sell it. I'm going to charge $29 for it. The title is Behind the Scenes of a 6-Figure email course, and I'm basically just going to walk people through the copy and the setup and like the mechanics of the 5 learning mistakes course that we've been using. And it's funny because I was trying to come up with a title, and I was like, I wonder how much money it has made we've made with this product. And I looked, and we're not over 6 figures yet, but yes, as of yesterday we were at $99,910. So I was like, all right, close enough. 6 figures. It'll be 6 figures by the time the email goes out. So so I'm just going to do probably a 90-minute webinar, do it live, record it, and my pitch to my email list is going to be, yes, I will be selling this later, but it's going to be more expensive. So
there you go. Yeah.
So get on it. Get on it now. You'll get to ask your questions. It's only $29. It's dirt cheap. I put up. So yesterday I decided that I was going to do it this way, and I put up a sales page, which isn't really a sales page. It's just like a headline, a sub-headline, and a button, a buy now button. And I set up a product, quote unquote, in DPD to take the money. And yesterday I had somebody try to buy it. I just linked to it from my navigation on my site. I had somebody try to buy it. They hit a technical glitch and didn't end up giving me any money yet. But so it's actually already up there. People can register for it, and I'm going to start promoting it next week to my list. And the modules that I had chopped out were really they were pretty. I didn't realize it, but they were pretty standalone. So I'll be able to sell each of these separately as a standalone webinar, and then I'm just going to package the whole thing up and sell it for $97 or whatever. When I'm done with all of them. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm actually realizing that we'll see how this one goes, but I'm actually really liking this idea of doing monthly webinars instead of doing a big product, at least for a while, because I can sell all the webinars. It almost gives me continuity income because I can sell the webinar. Like Ben Settle sells his newsletter. Even if you're a subscriber and you're paying him $97 a month, for the last 2 weeks every month he's selling you on the next issue. So you're even if you're tempted to unsubscribe, he's a couple times I've been tempted to just cancel my membership because it's $100 a month, and then, but man, he got me got me wanting to read the next issue. And so I think I can kind of replicate some of that with monthly webinars. Even though people aren't subscribed necessarily, I'm still selling something every month that has a deadline to it, and so there's some urgency and some scarcity, and it gives me a couple weeks where I can pitch the thing and hit it hard. So, and then when I'm done, I just package it up, throw some bonus content in there, and stick it up on my site as a product that I can sell.
Yeah.
So I like it. I might steal that.
Yeah, it's pretty low. It's nice because it's continuity. It's takes a lot of the nice things about the continuity model, but I'm not on the hook for producing something every month. If I don't feel like doing the other 2 webinars in this series, you know what? I don't have to.
Right. Yeah.
But it gives me something I can sell every month. It's pretty low effort to put together. I've got all the content for the webinars really. I just need to format it into some notes and I'll probably do a few slides, or maybe have Aaron help me put the slides together, and rock and roll with it. So, and it'll be more comfortable because I'll probably turn on my webcam and say hi, and then it's going to be mostly screen sharing with a few slides, and people are going to go, this first webinar especially, people are going to go nuts because people love the voyeuristic behind the scenes, I get to see his open rates and click rates and how he has all that, people love that stuff. And so I think that one's going to be popular. And then I'm thinking I've got some more ideas. Like I had somebody today email me and say, you know, oh, I've really been wondering. Your email today really helped because I've been really struggling with the how to tell stories in my emails. Well, that would be a good webinar. I could do a 90-minute webinar on storytelling. You know, and I could do one on. I'm probably going to do one on my writing process because I've got some good tools and a good approach that works really well, and I think would help other people, especially like if you're prone to editing while you write, which a lot of people are. The approach that I've used to break out of that habit could help people. So I could easily see myself doing one of these a month for 12 months, and then packaging them up different ways. So yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And if this goes well, I'll probably buy, like for right now, I don't even have webinar software. I'm going to use a Hangout. And I'll just do it all. Like I'll just send emails out of Drip. I set up Zapier so that DPD. So when you buy the product in DPD, it adds you to a campaign in Zapier, or in Drip rather, with a Zapier Zap. So so I don't even have webinar software at this point. I'm just going to send the emails out manually for now, and then maybe spend some money for that if this works. But yeah, I think what I'll end up with is like three instead of a bigger windfall or launch that I was hoping to have. I'll probably get 3 or 4 nice little spikes of income that'll help me even out my cash flow until things get kicking with Simple Programmer where they need to be. So
nice.
Yeah. So
have you read?
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, have you read the 10x rule?
No, I have not.
Okay, because some of what you were saying sounds like some of the stuff he talks about in that book. You might like that book. That's a pretty good. At first I wasn't going to read it, but because I felt like it was really hyped. But I just finished it because some people were recommending it, and it's really good. It talks about basically committing to things before you've done them.
Yeah. Yeah. Derek's emails really hit me right between the eyes. Derek Johansson, because he was talking about how he was his story is he'd been in an online business for 3 years and had nothing to show for it because he was just churning.
Yeah.
And he'd have product ideas and he'd work on them and he'd have no trouble working on them, but they'd never get finished. And that's exactly what I've been struggling with. Is I don't have trouble buckling down and making myself do the work. It's just getting it out the door. And so, and for me, the only way that I cannot at this point in my life, I'm not able to hack my own psychology to where self-imposed deadlines are meaningful.
Right.
Yeah. So I knew the only way I was going to be able to get this done would be to announce it to my list, which I was planning to do, but I was planning to announce the full course, and I was really stressed about that, and so I was dragging my feet on being able to actually finish it in that amount of time. Especially with I was thinking that it would be easier to do video rather than writing, but I was also feeling very intimidated by the video. So this is my compromise.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And this will be good because it won't require a huge amount of time commitment.
Yeah.
You'll be able to test the water. It's not backing you into a corner. It's not a long-term middle path. And then once you get good at this is a way to monetize your list. It's almost guaranteed way to do this.
Yeah. So. Well, and the other thing, I can use these webinars as I'll be able to use them all different ways. I can give them away as bonuses with other people's products. I can sell the packages with affiliate deals. So just that's going to be huge. Really help me grow. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you could even have someone do blog posts from your webinars, write them up, or you can produce higher quality video if you want to from the ones that do well. So.
Yep. Yeah. So that is that's a big shift for me. I'm excited about that. So we had a good month for Simple Programmer too.
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
best ever month.
Yeah. Yep.
Aside from
Aside
the
from
launch.
like your
Yeah.
product launches.
Yeah.
You should go to China more often.
Yeah. So we ended up. So we have to get. So John, is it okay if I share?
Oh yeah.
Numbers? Yeah. Okay. Figured. But yeah. So basically, to hit milestone 1, like to get me my raise that I so desperately want, we have to be at 26,000 a month, like recurring revenue. So that's basically non-product launch revenue. So and that has to the wrinkle that we threw in is it has to be a 6-month rolling average. So we've been kind of creeping up over the last 6 months, but and this month we hit 26,000 revenue, but it was like about 2,500 of that was from an affiliate thing that we did, so that didn't count. So we're basically like 23.5, and then we just got the sponsorship, which is I think last time I didn't say who it was, but it's Hired.com is going to be sponsoring. We're doing a 30-day sponsorship with them, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that. They seem excited about what we offered them, so I'm optimistic that we can keep that. So between that and where we are now, I think we should be above our milestone. John, one thing I noticed, the Patreon money, that was like less than a third of what I was expecting. Did you see that? Did we?
Yeah, I think they put a hold on the first larger payment because we just got a payment for like 2,600 just now. It just came in today.
Oh, from Patreon?
So, yeah, so that was sweet. This month, or what was left over from last month plus this month.
Okay, sweet, so. Awesome. Yeah, so I think we're basically there. We might be pushing 30K this month then.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that will get. So we're gonna need to be over 26 for several months to get me up to get the rolling average to catch up. But yeah, we're closing in on that. Yeah, actually, we might be close to 35 this month. I'll have to see.
Yeah.
With the Hired sponsorship. So. Yeah, because we closed that deal last week or last month, but then they just are paying us now. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see on the Patreon too, because it's not growing; it's kind of shrinking down. I mean, we expect it to shrink down a little bit, but
yeah, I'm expecting it to shrink down a lot actually. So. Because did you catch on the Facebook group? Did you see that guy who's like? John and I had a little disagreement about this. I said that I think there were some people that signed up just to get the free book.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that would be kind of a douchebag move.
Well, some
and there was a guy that said, I just signed up to get the free book and I'm canceling.
Yeah. Well, you said he's dropping down the level or something, I think.
Okay, all right.
Unless I missed that one, but I mean, there's going to be a few of those, but that's fine. It
happens.
Yeah. I think we're going to need to push it with the email list.
Yeah.
So maybe like a quarter. We might have to come up with some kind of like quarterly or twice a year schedule for that.
Yeah, and we'll see. So. I mean, I'm just not sure on. I'm like on the fence on continuing to plug the Patreon campaigns in the videos, because what if we decide to stop doing it?
Yeah.
There's not an easy way to like handle it, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we do plug it in order to gain subscribers. So I don't know. I'll have to think. We'll have to see what happens and think about it.
That was my concern early on, was that I didn't want to like weave it into too much stuff on the YouTube channel in case we decided to pull the plug later. But
yeah, I guess what I can do is, I mean, even if we decide to pull the plug, you could still have Patreon up, right? The page, like as long as I don't mention what are we doing, Slack?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I clicked that. I saw a button. I was like, Oh,
Oh.
anyway,
Oh.
sorry.
Oh, interesting.
Chuck, stop clicking stuff.
Yeah, as long as I don't do say what's giving away in the Patreon, then
Right.
we can still have it up. Like there's probably no harm in that. I just have to be more vague, just like point them to the link. So
Yeah.
I don't imagine there's any reason why we'd totally stop it. So
Yeah, that's true.
now that I'm thinking this out loud, so I guess that makes sense then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, either way, like our ad revenue is definitely growing from the YouTube channel too. So,
Yeah.
whichever way we end up going with that.
Yeah, the
Seems
ad
like it's
revenue is pretty decent. So yeah, we'll see. And plus, subscribers. I think we're almost at 33,000 subscribers now. So
Yeah.
when we hit like, eventually we'll have like 100,000 subscribers. So at that point, we've got a lot more leverage. So
Yeah, I've got when I have the How to Market Yourself course come online, hopefully that will help too. The email course for that. So, I finally crunched the numbers on the new sales page I wrote for that, and it gave us a nice bump, but it's still not where I want it to be. It ended up being about an 80% increase in the revenue, but I'm hoping the new email course will bump that up even further, more in line with the learning mistakes course. So.
yeah, I think it should because really that course is being sold via the email.
Yeah, it's going.
sales.
Yeah, it's mainly selling via the blogging course now, and I think we're just losing so many people. That course is it's like 4 weeks before, 3 to 4 weeks before people ever get pitched, really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I think we'll see what happens I think we'll see a pretty decent lift.
Yeah.
And then we've got the other products to launch here. Got to get the entrepreneurial course. I got to do some catch up, but then that's probably the high priority. I'm still a little ways off now on. I set myself back on the fitness, but
yeah.
So I'll have to get back into.
So
Dang,
we
I
have
was so
guy,
close too. That
yeah.
that pic I sent from Vegas, I was like more ripped than I've ever been. But so I gotta get back there.
So I'm just curious as far as Simple Programmer goes. So the majority of your income comes from product sales, and then
yeah. So
and then from the sponsorships.
It's actually pretty spread out. So
Also drug deals.
Yeah.
That's really why you went to China.
Hits.
Yeah. So right now our product income last month was around right at 14,000.
Okay.
And then we had let's see what else. So we have like a bunch of different affiliates. That's like a big chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then John, help me out. There's like one. I feel like there's one other big chunk that I'm missing.
Product, Bluehost affiliate.
Yeah, the Bluehost stuff.
Other affiliate stuff.
Yeah, we have probably like 10 to 15 little affiliate streams. The advertising revenue for the YouTube channel is around $600. I think we made like $600 from Patreon last month.
Yeah.
So it's pretty spread out, and I think that's your book income's not included in that, right, John? The Manning stuff. Yeah. So, so that's like it's basically product income. Now we're adding in the sponsorship, so that'll be the other big chunk, and then after that, it's like all these little affiliate streams that all add up to a nice amount.
Gotcha.
So, so we're also talking. There's a guy who reached out to us, one of our fans, who is doing a JavaScript course, and we're talking to him about white labeling that. So that would give us another product, like an actual technical product we could sell right off the site. So we're gonna be looking to do more and more of that.
More white label.
Yeah, white label, the publishing model, sort of like SitePoint or Pluralsight, really.
Right.
So that'll be nice. We've also got John has that real estate course that he's recorded. that we need to do. I have to do some copy for that, and we're going to throw that up on the site and try to see if we can get a few sales a month from that.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, really the product, mostly the two things we're looking to grow the most are the product income and the sponsorship. So
Right.
we're hoping to lock down the sponsorship to where it's around probably like 8 to 10 grand a month ongoing sponsorship deals. So
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
yeah. Yeah, John. So John's been doing this book that he's been doing has been really moving the needle for us. So we've had several of the posts. So we're publishing each chapter of the book as a blog post. And then what we did was last week the week before, we set up a drip campaign, and every time John publishes a new chapter, we're sticking an email on the end of the drip campaign. So, and then there's a call to action in every blog post to sign up for the email list and get the whole book. Yeah, and we'll just drip it out. So when regardless of what chapter they read, if they sign up, they're going to go to the beginning of the book and they're going to get dripped out chapter 1, 2, 3. So, and it's actually bumped up the traffic to the site because now people are like, every week those emails are going out. People are going back to the site, and then they're sharing. They share it, and that's actually there's like this nice little. Seems like we've got like a nice little permanent bump out of that.
And the nice thing we'll be able to do is we should have the book published before all of the chapters get published on the blog. So as soon as we have the book available to buy, we'll be able to go back to the email sequence and put in ads to actually just buy the whole book now instead of getting it dripped out to you.
Yep.
And that should have a very high conversion rate there. So
that'll push it on. That'll be a great pushing it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
are you self-publishing this one, or is it going through a publisher too?
Yeah, self-publish. At least at first, the plan is to self-publish until that steam runs out, and then possibly have a publisher pick it up if they can add more reach to it. I think from what I gather now in the book industry, that's the route to go. Is there's no reason to not self-publish the book first, because there's no harm, and in fact, if you self-publish and you are successful, if you do have readership, then you're more likely to get a publishing deal, and you're more likely to get a better deal, and you're more likely to get a bigger advance, and all of these things. So, plus you're getting a higher percentage of the profits early on. So,
yeah, I know a few people who have done that basically self-published. They got a ton of traction, and then they got picked up by O'Reilly or Pragmatic Programmers or somebody.
Yeah, so I think that's the way, especially with already having a best-selling book. Self-publishing will be easy because the first book will sell the second book.
Right,
and honestly,
it'll show up on your author page on Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, yep. And honestly, this second book I think is going to do better than the first because this is more practical to any developer. Is the career guide versus the soft skills.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, the soft skills are like a subset, really.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to be interested in that necessarily, even though they should.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think this will work out well. And then when we sell the book, we can sell it as a package deal, right? We can add some videos, we can
audio version, whatever.
Yeah, so we can basically sell like a whole package for maybe around $100 or $200.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, for the blogging, for the book, the blog post rather, I put we've been putting links at the top and the bottom with Thrive, where you just click on it and it opens the lightbox. Those have been converting really, really well. The blog posts are on average converting around 7% to email signups.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
so how is that working again? They click a link somewhere on the
Yeah,
page that
so
opens the
so
lightbox?
I've got at the top of the blog post, or the content team is putting there's like basically just a boilerplate paragraph that says this is a chapter in the software developer's career guide or whatever we're calling the book, and click here and to get the whole book one chapter at a time or something like that, and you click the link and it opens a light box, and you just enter your info, and then at the bottom I don't even think I'm not even sure if we're showing any other pop-ups or anything on those pages. I don't think we are.
I'm not sure.
So, and then at the bottom we did I had Rodrigo do a big. It's this huge square graphic. It's got to be like 600 by 800 pixels or something. Like it's enormous, and it's like this big, get the book, and you click the image basically, and it pops up the light box. So, and I think so. I'm not sure how the math works exactly, but the top one's converting at like 3.8%, and the bottom one's converting at like 3.4% or 3.5%.
Oh, wow.
So I think I think that you can just add those numbers together and you get the cumulative of like 7 to 8% is how I'm coming up with that number. So, because they both show every time you load the page, that's an impression for both of them. So, yeah, so it's working. That's working really, really well. And delivering this book at one chapter at a time like this, if you've got any kind of traffic, this is a really good way to go, I think.
Yeah. I just started writing. I didn't write at all when I was in China.
Yeah.
That just ended up proving to be too difficult to do. But well, part of it was just because I hit the point of the book where I had to do research more so, and so yeah, with not being able to search on the internet, it was just so I've started again today. It was the first day I started writing again. So.
Nice. I have been doing I was doing my 1,000 words a day thing for I've been doing that now for over 100 days. It's I've hit I think like 110 days. So
wow.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to break that though, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. Well, because I signed up. So I signed up for this productivity course that Perry Marshall is offering. It's like a 30-day challenge, and if you win the productivity course, if you have the most points in this at the end of this, some small number of people is going to get basically like a retreat with Perry's going to do a private retreat for the winners. So
nice.
I want to do and so he's big on taking an actual Sabbath day on Sunday, or sometime during the week where you don't use your computer, don't work at all. So so that's part of this challenge. So Sundays I'm not going to do any writing. So I will officially break my streak. But yeah, it's been good. I really have. I'm going to keep doing. I think I'm going to keep doing it at least 5 or 6 days a week. Because it's definitely stretched me a lot. I feel like there are days now where I write like 3,000 words and I don't really feel like I've written that much until I go back and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Yeah, that's not. That used to feel like moving heaven and earth, and now it's not really that big of a deal.
It's great because you're doing consistent production when you're doing that.
Right.
It's like you've got to a point where you can just pump out stuff, and over time the cumulative effect of writing that much is going to have a huge benefit. So
yeah. So this has actually been this has been a little counterproductive. It's been a little counterproductive for me with my efforts to get my product done, though, because I have this quota that I want to hit, and so it's ended up causing me to churn a bit more, rather than just sort of writing my daily email and then pecking away at the product and trying to polish it more. I'm got to keep, I have to keep keep going with my 1,000 words, and I haven't gotten yet to the point. Like with John, the way you're doing it, you're kind of actually just writing the first draft as you go, and that's
Right.
I don't quite work that way yet. So, yeah, I might get there. I'd like to get there, but
Yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely been beneficial. I'm definitely keeping it up, but.
Yeah, I need to get into that habit. But I've been focused on other stuff, and I want to get it done. So.
Yeah. So the other major development for me is so I haven't talked much about it, but I've been like leaning out and losing weight along with John, and I'm getting close to my goal where I want to be, and I'm starting to now that my life I've been eliminating so many things from my life. I'm like, you know what, it's time to add some kind of exercise back into the picture. So I've been trying to figure out like what kind of exercise could I do that I would be happy to keep doing for like the next 10 or 20 years, to where it's not like what I've done in the past is I'm like, okay, I wake up in the morning and it's the eat that frog strategy where you're like, what's the worst thing you can possibly do? Do that first thing in the morning. And for me, that's like P90X, 60 to 90 minutes of hell. And so that has failed miserably for me. I hate working out in the morning. It ruins my day. It ruins my mood. I dread waking up in the morning. It doesn't really work
like
for
my
me.
wife.
Yeah, it's just, oh my gosh. So John works out I've noticed that John works out in the afternoon, so I've been kind of thinking that I could try that out. But what I've realized is that I don't like going to the gym. But I do really enjoy body weight exercise, and in particular, I've kind of latched on to like the gymnastics strength training stuff. Learning to do some of the like crazy advanced skills like working on the rings, doing handstands. There's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff you can do. And so I signed up for a course that I'm going to be working on for a while. And this is actually pretty cool because what they've done, this course, they used to just sell this course as an info product, and now they've actually turned it into software. And I'll be honest, I found the course for free, the info product version of it, and just I was looking through it to see if it was something that I wanted to pay $200 for. And the software, like even if I had been tempted to not buy it, I was going to buy it anyway if I liked it. But even if I had been tempted to not buy it, the software component of it made it so much more appealing because the system. So this guy, the gymnastics coach that puts this together, he's very big on gradually building yourself up, your flexibility, mobility, and strength all together so that you don't get injured. And I've gotten hurt multiple times in the past and like completely derailed me. And so his approach is really appealing. Of like you don't jump right into rings work. There's like a lot of steps you have to go through to where your elbows can take that kind of abuse. And his system, because of this, his system is kind of complex. But they've got the software that they've done makes it like brain dead simple. Like you basically you put in your start date, and he starts everybody at the beginning. Like you start at level 0, and then your first day you'll take some assessments. You watch, like you pull up your phone, you log into the app. There's videos. You play the video. You do what's on the video, and then you mark down how you did, and it like customizes your plan from that point forward. And then every day, you just when you go to work out, you open the app and your whole workout's there. I think that they even have videos where he will talk you through your entire workout. So like, because there's certain timing to the exercises and everything, and you want to try to stay up, maintain a certain pace. And so he'll it's like a 30-minute video, and he'll just like basically take you through the entire workout right there, and you just mark down how you performed, and it adapts. Your next workout will change based on what you did in the current one. So yeah, it's actually it's pretty sweet, and I think like this is definitely the way that things need to go. Like the info product business continues to get more and more commoditized.
Yeah.
Amazon's devaluing what everybody produces to the point where it's almost not worth it anymore. But if you can take what you're offering into and make it, and people are so overloaded with information too, that if you can just make it like brain dead simple, where every day you just get dripped out what you need to do, that's like, it's so much more valuable.
Yep.
And this guy, I paid $200 for this, and in the fitness market, $100 product is really expensive, right, John? I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
It's so competitive that people on the forum for this product, I saw people like complaining about it and saying how they can't afford it, and like they're not going to be able to afford it for 5 years. I'm like, $200, like really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like seriously, if you can't find $200 somewhere in your life over the course of a few months, then you have a lot of problems. But but yeah, and so like so he's able to charge more for what he's offering and he's making it impossible to steal and rip off.
Yeah.
Because it's it's baked into the software. So definitely, I'm definitely paying close attention, and I'm thinking like after these webinars, I'm thinking about how I can do something like this for email marketing, and maybe it's just initially a 30-day. I'm thinking I might do like a 30-day email challenge where you sign up, and I drip out an email a day with an assignment to help keep people motivated and moving. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
Things are so much better than just straight up video course or whatever.
Well, and that's the key, like, to personal development success, right? Is like, the way that I'm able to like achieve any kind of fitness success or any kind of really personal success is by essentially self-prescribing, right? It's like, I know what I'm supposed to do every day. I know what I'm supposed to eat. I know when I'm supposed to eat. I know, anytime you can do that, because if I tell you, if you go to the gym or if you try a diet program and you don't know what you're going to eat, you're going to fail. And if you try to go to the gym and you're like, I'm going to go lift weights, you're going to fail, right? It's like, so
right.
More prescriptive is you need it. Otherwise, so if someone does that for you, that's even better, because then you can just follow the. But I mean, and that's the struggle that we have as entrepreneurs too, right? It's like we've talked about this multiple times on the show. Is the idea of wearing the multiple hats. It's like we all can decide what the plan is and we can follow orders, but when you have to do both, you have the problem. So.
Yep.
Having that prescription of saying this is what you need to do today, it's then you can just do that. But when it's like you need to figure out what to do today and then do it, that's really, really hard for people. It's like exponentially hard.
Yep.
Yeah,
like replacing your podcast editor.
Oh yeah. So tell us, Chuck, what's going on? I know you've been dying to tell us now.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if I've been dying to tell you, but so I got back on Saturday from Wood Badge, which for those that don't know, that's it's adult leader training. It's pretty intense for Boy Scout leaders. And I keep telling people so the curriculum was designed with Stephen Covey, and he worked with the BSA to put that program together. So anyway, it's kind of on par with the training you would pay thousands of dollars to go to, and it costs like $150 for Boy Scout leaders to go to. It's pretty amazing. So that was pretty awesome. It was funny because I was worried because I had decided to hire Podcast Motor before I left, and I was worried, oh, I'm just going to be agonizing over this all week because I don't want to have that conversation with Mandy. And the further I got into Wood Badge, the more I realized that I really needed to just step up as a real leader in my company, even though it's a small company, and just be responsible for it. So, I'm responsible for the decision. I'm not responsible for how Mandy reacts, but I am responsible for the outcomes, and I need to do what is best for the business and for my family. And so by the time Monday rolled around and I had to have the conversation with her, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I was comfortable with it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically we have our team meeting on Monday morning. So she was there, and Federico, who's my developer guy, was there. I have a bunch of stuff to talk about with him too, but anyway, so I talked to her. So we just chatted about how things went last week, and I had to fix some stuff because the RSS feed server ran out of disk space. So I had to fix that. But anyway, so then I had Federico jump off, and I talked to Mandy, and I just told her that I was hiring Podcast Motor to take over the podcasts. And I think she knows a lot of the reasons. I didn't go too deeply into it. I just told her that that's what we were doing, and that I really appreciated her work over the last 4 or 5 years, and I thought she did a great job, but that I felt like that was the right next move. So if she goes back and listens to these, I guess she'll figure out some of the other reasons there. But yeah, so it was mostly that. She knows the pricing difference. The quality was pretty comparable. So anyway, so she's been, I would say, she's been unhappy about it. I am keeping her on to work on Angular Remote Conf, React Remote Conf, and Rails Remote Conf, just because I don't have time to deal with those right now.
Yep.
So she's handling that, and then that's pretty much all she's doing for me at this point. And then she's finishing up the podcast episodes that she had started editing before I let her go. So I'm going to have to pay her for those. But I just sent her an email today and said, look, I can pay your invoice for the last couple weeks on time, but the other money was unforeseen, and I can't pay it right now. And
Right.
So I'll pay her in a couple weeks. And anyway, so that's kind of how that worked out, but some people have sent her requests for different things, and she's forwarded them on to me. One of the Ruby Rogues podcast co-hosts sent an email to her with some stuff for the show notes, and she basically replied to her and the rest of the panel and said, I don't do that anymore, so hand it off to Chuck. There was a little bit of heat in it. So I wasn't super thrilled about that, but for the most part, it's been fine. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I was concerned about, what about her, and what about her family and her business, but I care about them as people, but I don't feel that responsibility for her that I was feeling a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And so it's, she's going to have to find some other clients. I'm sure she can do it if she really wants to.
Yeah.
And, it's up to her. And I don't feel responsible for, any hardship or failures or anything that she goes through because of this. That's kind of her shtick at this point with her business. So I had to kind of get over that. And I think just the conversations we had at Wood Badge really helped, because it's mostly focused on leadership. We do talk about Boy Scouts a lot, but it's mostly focused on leadership and good leadership. So, I kind of came out of there just feeling like, what, I've got to do what is best for the people that I'm trying to serve, which is my family and the listeners and stuff. So so that's kind of how that's gone so far. And so this I've decided to do 2-week sprints. So this sprint, which is this week and next week, is focused on replacing Mandy, because there are things that she does that have to happen. So this week I've spent a ton of time automating stuff. So I've set up 6 Calendly accounts because the stupid thing won't allow you to connect to more than one calendar
Oh,
for
yeah.
different events. It's like, come on. Is it really that hard? Well, apparently.
The schedule once connect to multiple? There's a few of these out there that are.
Oh, I should go look at other ones.
Yeah.
One other. So, you want to have? Do you want to have the events created? You want to have different events created on each of those 6 calendars?
So basically, each show has its own Calendly account right now.
Right.
And so I send them the link. It tells them which days we're available to record.
Yeah.
And then
So, you might be able to. I don't know if this is worth messing with, but you might be able to simplify this a little bit with Zapier, because you can put filters. So you might be able to say, if this form has this specific value, then put it on this calendar. I don't know if that's.
No, Zapier will pick up new. What do you call them? New contacts, basically.
Mm-hmm.
To schedule an event. But I didn't see anything in there that was if this specific event type will get created, because that's the next step. So when they create the event in Calendly, then Zapier picks it up and runs with it from there. And so it creates a Google Doc where they can where we can all collaborate on what we're going to talk about on the show.
Nice.
I need to update that so that the email also includes, hey, can you go fill out this profile form, and hey, can you go add me on Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, go check out our connection step by step. Which I also finished, so that's all done. I can refer people directly to that. And then it adds them to my CRM, to Highrise, and tags them as guests for the show. And then it also does something else I don't remember. Oh, it puts a card in Trello.
Oh, nice.
So that I can move it through my workflow.
Very nice.
So that's all magical and works terrific. So I'm pretty happy with all of that. It actually sets the due date too for the day and time that we're recording.
Nice.
So I can just look in Trello and I know who's coming up, which is slick. So
that's pretty awesome.
And Mandy was doing all of that by hand. So
yeah.
So that's nice. That's what kind of precipitated a lot of this was I talked about automating it and I got pushback and then I pushed back on, being able to automate it and I got pushback again. And so, yeah, so it's been kind of nice to be able to just move ahead and not have the major concern over that.
Yep.
And, so now I'm working on, I've got the automation working for JavaScript Jabber and Adventures in Angular, and I've been reaching out to people now and saying, hey, go check this out, because honestly, if I spend an hour, I can reach out to a couple dozen people.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I found this on JavaScript Weekly, or hey, somebody requested that you come on the show, and I'm going to work on automating that too. I think I'm going to put gravity forms on my page, and then just have it admin restricted so only admins can see it.
Yep.
And that way, if I hire somebody to go through and send out those requests, then I can do it. And if it's somebody that I want to make the request myself, then I can do that. I can just go in and it'll have a slot for personal notes. So it's, hey, thanks for speaking at the last remote conf. Really appreciate blah, 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 blah. I ran across this, in JavaScript Weekly, and we'd like to talk about it on the show, and then all the rest of the boilerplate. Here's how many people listen to the show. Here's when we usually record. Here's the link for you to get in and book a time. And and that way it just happens automatically.
Nice.
And then I'm hoping that I can. Then it's a whole lot less work because it just automatically does it. I don't have to go look up the link every time and stuff like that. But once I get that automated, then I'm going to be working on automating things on the back end. So when the episode goes out, currently it posts to Facebook and Twitter, but I'm also working on now having it. I want it to email the guests and things like that. So I'm going to be working
Nice.
on all that stuff too.
Very
Well,
cool.
bravo on that. Yeah, I know that was tough to do, but
Yeah, it wasn't any fun. And honestly, if a couple of things were different, then I just keep going. I would have just left it the way it was, but they
yeah,
weren't.
but
So
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, the pain that you go through is a growing experience. So like being able to do this is going to
yeah,
be valuable. Not being able to do this was a weakness, and now you've gotten over it. Now you have the ability to execute more efficiently in your business, right? To be able to.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and now you've got, like, it opened up these doors. Like you said, you can automate this stuff. You'll have less overall work that needs to be done.
Yep.
And now if for some reason Podcast Motor didn't work out, it'd be very easy for you to switch or to so you've got. It's good to have that where you have the ability to that more than one person could do this job, because sometimes it's like you feel like, oh well, no one else could do this job, but that's not really true. It's like,
Well, the other issue is like, well, Mandy knows how I want it done,
right?
and I don't want to
Exactly.
train somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, that was the other thing that happened was I sent it to Podcast Motor. I sent it to a couple of other companies too.
Yeah.
And what I got back, I was like, this is close enough.
Yeah.
And so it's like I can help them massage this into what I want. And so is it going to be perfect the first episodes they release? Probably not, but it'll be close enough. And then from there I can work out some of this other stuff. I've also full on, since I made the change, I told them to do mid-roll ads instead of pre-roll ads.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So we're switching that over as well. And so I need to go re-record all my sponsorship spots so that it's, hey, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor, Hired.com.
Right.
And then, I'm probably going to record 5 or 6 different, spots for them, and then they can just get rotated. And that way we can hit people where they live. And so if some people are, I just want a job and I don't want to do any of the work, then we can put that in there as a spot. And then if it's, I'm thinking about finding a job, but, I don't know what my salary would be. Well, the average salary on Hire.com is this. Oh, okay. And maybe that's the hook for them. And so if we can hit 4 or 5 hooks for different people and bring them around, then I think that'll work out nicely for them.
And hey, now you actually have some money from your business.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Well, I don't know if I have money right now, but I think I will have more margin, and that's a lot of the movement here. But this sprint is focused on just getting all these processes in place for what Mandy did and used to do, and then the next sprint is going to be about the conferences and just making sure the conferences through the end of the year are done, are ready to go, and working out the marketing and stuff for them, and then also getting the old conference videos up so that I can either sell access to them or put an email access wall in front of it. Because you guys told me to do that a couple weeks ago, and I think that's a great idea for conferences that are more than 6 months old.
Yeah.
And then anything that's newer than that, then it'll have a paywall in front of it, and you can pay for access until we actually release it. And it'll just say in there, these are behind the paywall until this date. So, if you want early access, then you can pay here. But I think that'll be a source of income that will almost immediately pay off.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the other thing I need to do is automate the back end of the conferences so that people who attended last year's conference get emailed about this year's conference. So, a lot of work to do there.
That's very cool.
But yeah, so I know that people were wondering and worried about what's going on with Mandy, so that's pretty much that. After these 3 conferences, I'm hoping to have most of the conference process automated as well. And so I don't know how much I'm going to be having her do after that. There may be some other projects that I need her for, or there may not be. I'm just not sure yet. So.
Yeah, one of the things that Bob Bly had told me, actually, I talked to him one time, John, and I mentioned what we were doing for Simple Programmer, and like when we were talking about it before we'd finalized it, he was telling me not to do it.
Oh yeah.
But because he didn't quite, I didn't want to argue with him.
Yeah.
So I didn't explain exactly all the details of what we were doing and how it was like really a partnership. Which a lot of people would warn you off of as well. But yeah, his rule of thumb is that no more than 50% of your income should come from any one source if you're a freelancer. And so Mandy's, she's in kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
Got a bit of a scramble because 80% of her money was coming from you.
Yeah. Does that apply to, like, most of my income comes from sponsorships? So is that a classification or just one sponsor?
No, I think if you had one big sponsor, and that was, and you had no process for getting more of them.
Right.
Like if there was only one company that in the world that, or one company that you knew of that would be willing to pay what you're charging, that would be equivalent. It would be like me, if I'd gone with Xamarin or something, back when I was talking about that, and they were booking 80% of my time, and I didn't have time to prospect for more business, that would be a big danger sign. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I think Hired.com accounts for close to half.
Yeah, and that's fine because I mean, if you've got those slots and you have a waiting list, I'm sure, of people who would like to get on them. So
yeah, I'm reaching back out to all these people now and saying, hey, look, the price and the process has changed. Give it another look. And it hasn't been that hard to sell people into those slots at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're fine. That's not a problem.
The other thing is I really do want to diversify into products, and not just the conferences, but actual products. I really think I'm going to steal your webinar thing. I might do 2 a month, but
when you were talking, I was thinking actually your conferences are somewhat similar to what I'm describing.
Yeah.
They're a much bigger version of it.
Yes. And yeah. Well, the other thing is I can price anchor off of the webinars if I start doing webinars, because if I do the webinars for $29 a piece, then I can say, look, this is like getting 12 webinars or 15 webinars or whatever.
Yeah.
And these are experts that I've brought in, and the story here is that, you're getting a discount. You're getting a bulk discount.
Right.
A $200 ticket to get access to 12 speakers, you're getting more than a third off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of diversifying as much as possible across as many streams as possible, like from personal income and to business income, as well as I think there's a lot. It's funny. I just did a video about this, and I was talking about the idea of from your personal income, you want to have multiple streams of income, not just your business, right? Investment.
Yeah. So I real quick, I have a spreadsheet that I track all of my, every time somebody gives me any money for anything, I track it in this spreadsheet. And so far this year, I have, let me see how many rows I have in here, just to give you an idea how many little diverse streams I have. So 9 through, I have 85 line items. No, it was 75 line items in this little spreadsheet. And there's probably some, a lot of them are repeats, but there's probably 25 or 30 different sources that I've gotten a few $100 from here and there. I just had a guy this week email me. Actually, he emailed me while I was out. I didn't respond to him for a week, and he was like, he wanted a copy critique basically, and I was like, okay, well, $375, and he's like, done, PayPal.
Yeah.
Charge me now. So that kind of thing adds up.
Well,
and it gives you a lot of confidence. I don't really worry. Okay, so Perry Marshall doesn't need me to write emails for him anymore. Okay, well, you know what? That's time I'm not spending on that. So it'll come from somewhere.
Yeah. And the nice thing, I mean, one, it gives you the stability, right? Because one particular disruption can't destroy your entire thing, right? And if you do that at the personal level, that's obviously the highest level. But within the business, there's the business level of the different income streams from the business, and then there's what Josh said, like of income stream further diversification, which is to say that like sponsorship products, advertise, whatever, you have those multiple streams, but then within each one of those streams you can have diversification as well by not having it one client that's the only source of that. So that's good. But it's also, the other thing I like about it besides just the robustness that you get from it is the ability to have a lot of horses in the race, because you don't know what will take off. It's like if you focus on just one thing and you just have that one horse in the race, then hopefully it does well. But if you have like 20 horses in the race, one of them could just explode. And then you can
one of them will. The 80-20 rule applies, and one of them will explode.
Right.
You'll have 2 or 3 that'll be really good, and the other ones won't be that great. And you can either cut your losses or just let them, kind of putter along.
But I think there's another side to it too, which is the whole like, mining the mine deep enough. Like instead of going from just like doing, because there's a lot of infrastructure work in setting up the mine, and if you don't mine enough gold or gems from that mine, then and you just move on to the next one, and some people do that, they spread themselves too thin. So it's like, I think it's really good to like have a deep focus and build up that revenue channel, whether it be personal or business, and then once you have that, then to spread out, because eventually the low-hanging fruit stops becoming low-hanging fruit.
Right.
And so then it makes more sense to mine, to build up more mines.
Then you open a new shaft.
Where does John get his fruit? That's what I want to know.
Out of mines. You heard him.
Exactly, out of mines. So, but no, it's like a strategy game. It's like StarCraft or something, right? It's like you don't build the new base until you've mined enough from
the other one. Yeah.
Right. You get enough resources and then you expand. But if you expand too early or too weak, you can't. You're splitting your resources, so you have to optimize that. But eventually, you want to have as many bases as you can. You want to, because then you're robust against attack, and you have as much resource. You're always pulling from the low-hanging fruit. So.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm probably going to be sending some emails to you guys because I really do want to. There are some of these areas that I want to dig into that I think you do well, like the affiliates, for example. I'd like to dig into some of that and work through some of that stuff with you guys, and then just I've got a few other ideas, but I really am doing this sprint thing. So this sprint is replacing Mandy. Next sprint is the conference stuff. But since Mandy's handling a lot of the speaker lineup, I can kind of play a supporting role there and then get all the sponsorship stuff up so that the past conferences up, so I can start making money from that. And then the 2 sprints after that, I'm gonna be fully focused on getting the book done.
Yeah.
And that should happen toward the end of September. But I've been wanting to do webinars to promote it, and so I think I'm gonna take that page out of Josh's book and go for it.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes too.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm kind of hoping to get a couple sales before I even start promoting it. That would make me feel really good.
Yeah.
I don't get a ton of traffic to my site, so it's not super likely that I'll get much. But
I'm wondering how I would promote that on my site. Should I just have a pop-up that?
So the way, literally, the way I've done it is I just put a. I'm gonna just check my traffic and see if I've gotten any hits to that page. But yeah, basically, I put a navigation item that says live class or take the class.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing that, and then I'll have a list.
So far, that's all I've done, and then I'm just gonna put. I will have the. I'm gonna be promoting it heavily in email, and that'll be the main the main place.
Okay.
So we'll see if this one works well. Then I will be. Let me see here. Yeah, I've gotten a few hits to that page. 7 hits between yesterday and today. Some of those are me though. So, but yeah, if this works well, then I think what I might do is actually start promoting, trying to get some affiliate goodness going with these. So like I can, there's a blogger that I had talked to who's got about a 10,000 person email list who is interested in promoting her list. So I could set it up so that this is a paid webinar. She gets half of whatever we make, and then she sends traffic. She sends traffic to it, and so I'll probably do that, and then at that point I'm building my list with paying customers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, the affiliate stuff for me, like getting a product and then being able to get most of my list growth is going to come from other people's email lists once I've got a good product to offer.
Yeah.
So I had a guy reach out to me this week he's putting together a free email course on email courses for his list, and apparently he's got Brendan Dunn and a couple other people to jump on this, but he's giving me the first slot, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, he wants me to teach the A2E, the educate, agitate, entertain stuff. So
nice, very nice.
Yeah, so I'm definitely getting some traction and some recognition now on this. But we'll see how the webinars go. I'm excited.
Cool. We'll have to compare notes.
Yeah. We done?
I guess so, unless anyone's got
I think
anything
so.
else.
I think I'm winding down.
Yeah.
All right, should we
I'm
do
so
our?
freaking tired.
Yeah.
I mean, I was effectively camping for a week, and I was in training from 8 a.m. to about 10 p.m. every day.
Oof.
Yeah.
And I just haven't quite caught up on sleep yet. and then I had to do the whole thing with Mandy and stuff, which was also not fun.
Yeah. That would wipe me out for a couple of days probably, both before and after.
Yep.
Technically, I'm still jet lagged. It was so. What one thing does, I had a 12-hour flight, and then another 2-hour flight to San Diego. But I was delayed on the runway for 3 hours, so I was sitting on a plane for 15 or 16 hours, and then had a layover for I missed my connection, so 4 hours in the airport, and then another 2-hour flight. So and then I crossed the international date line. So basically, I relived Wednesday.
Wow.
So it's the longest day ever, right? Because the way that the international date line works is when you cross it, you just move. You go back one day or forward one day, depending which direction you cross it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't change the time. So if you cross it at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, you go back to Tuesday 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, John and I were trying to sort out, he was still in China, and we were okay, when is John going to be back? And it was just, it was...
Yeah, so basically I had a flight about 2 o'clock out from China, and I got delayed, but, so I got delayed 4 hours, or no, it was the flight was 12. So I got delayed about 3 hours, I think it was, maybe 3 or 4 hours. So I ended up leaving at 3 o'clock, and then I crossed the international date line. So it's 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So as soon as I cross the date line, it's 3 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, right? So then,
Wow.
but then I'm moving forward 8 time zones. So. So it's 2 plus 8, so it's 10 p.m. on Tuesday, and I'm also flying for 12 hours. So now you can add 12 hours to that. So now it's 10 a.m. on Wednesday. So
You
essentially
can win
what
this
ended up
one.
happening.
That's fine.
Yeah. So on Wednesday, I left the airport. The plane left at 3 p.m. Okay. I arrived on Wednesday at 10 a.m.
After having been on a plane for...
Yeah. So I went on a plane for 12 hours and ended up arriving 3 hours earlier than I left, or something around there, or 5 hours, whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was wacky. So it made for a very long day, 24 hours of travel.
Dang.
Yeah. Should we do our thoughts for
Yeah, I think so. My thought is going to be, what would this look like if it was easy?
I like it.
I like it too.
I'm going to be reusing that question many, many times, I think, in the days and weeks ahead.
Yep. My thought is just sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. Sometimes you have to do stuff you have to so you don't like. But the thing is that if you have the big picture in mind, as far as what you want to accomplish, who you're going to help, what that difference is, and even down to the smaller things like, can I pay for stuff for my family, or can I, is this going to buy me more time so I can spend it with my kids? It all matters, and so you have to take all that into account. And then if you have to make a tough decision, then you have to make a tough decision. Somebody actually pointed out, and I'm trying to remember the name of the book. They were talking about, I guess, there are different stages or levels of leaders, and they basically said that the level 5 leader is the leader that makes a decision when there aren't any pleasant options. And yeah, it's easy to be a leader when all the options are obvious and fun.
Yeah.
But it's hard when they're not, and you've got to do it anyway.
Let's see. I think mine would be, like, you have to take a realistic assessment of where you are, and that's where you are. And it's like, and I'm thinking about that lately because it's right before I left for China, I was really close to my goal, and I got set back. And so, like you asked, Chuck, like, are you back on? Are you giving yourself some time? I'm like, no, I'm right back. As soon as I'm back, I'm writing. I ran 10 miles yesterday. I'm back with a vengeance. In fact, I'm going to be more strict than I was. I'm going to be, and it's really easy to be discouraged to, like, when you're backtracking on the same track that you've already been on. But I think that's like probably the most important, like, discipline skill that you can have in life, is to be able to walk the same path, to have your computer crash and your autosave feature didn't work, and then rewrite the report, right? That's the hardest thing. And because if you can master that skill, because you're always going to be doing that in life, and it's like, if you can't tread down the same path you've already tread down once before, then you're going to be you're always going to be changing directions, and you're never going to reach your goals, because life is all about retracing your steps. Because no matter how good you are, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how much, you're going to screw up. And so, not screwing up is a really shitty plan, because you're going to screw up. Instead, like, being able to recover and retrace your steps is the more valuable plan, because that's what you're going to spend a majority of your time doing. And so, a lot of people fight hard to not do that, and they can't do it. They're like, oh, screw it. I guess I missed the deadline. I'm not turning in this paper because I've already written it once. I'm not writing it again. And they miss out, because that's life. That's how you make forward progress, and you learn every time you do that, because writing that paper the second time, although it's painful, it comes out better. And so, if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to be experiencing a lot of pain with no benefit. So.
Yep. You got to know where you're starting from.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, maybe we'll all be here next week. We'll see.
Dear listener, we missed you last week.
Yes, we did.
We are
First
back.
time ever.
Oh yeah, those you guys skipped last week, huh?
Yeah, because I was out, and
Derek was the only one that could make it.
Yep.
He should have done a solo. All right,
right.
guys.
See ya.
Talk next time. Yep.
Bye.